I believe we will have a lot of things to discuss and a great manthan will happen in next 2 days. I request Sri Sandeep Ji to use his good offices and help us with the GST issues in this crucial times. I once again take this opportunity to welcome you all for this FPTA 64th AGM and thank you very much for coming here. Thank you once again. Welcome once again. Thank you very much.
AGM for the 10th time here, and with all your support, we are sure to make this a grand event. And my work here is cut out very clear to talk about NPMA activities. It's been a part of my blood now. So our activities are primarily based on our core values set by our senior members here. First, I would like to say about the educational front, what we focus on. 17 times we have hosted a short-term program in association with Saifee Paper and Boards, which is a pan-India event held at E-Road. Here, the agenda is very clear that the process about paper making and the sustainable processes involved in paper making are taught to the next generation. 2 new political and social fund has been developed, and for the past 10 years, we have been giving to at least 15 to 20 needy people within our trade fraternity. We have organized an eye camp, a blood sugar camp, and we are in talks with Apollo hospitals for their ambulance services at a 30% discount. And at last, the cultural aspect of NPMA.
Chairman, Jani Sales Pvt Limited. I think so. I know him since the past 35 years. Our guest of honor, Shri Prakash Garg, Chairman, NPT Group of Companies, and our another guest of honor, Shri Banerjee, CGM, Indian Overseas Bank. Welcome you all to this event. My seniors, ladies, gentlemen, and my dear friends, Vanakkam, Namaskar, a warm greeting to one and all. Today I speak with a full heart of gratitude. This is not just the final speech of my president term. It is a moment of reflection, appreciation, and most importantly, vision. I am deeply honored to stand before this vibrant gathering from all corners of India. From senior trade legends and energetic newcomers, your presence here proves that the Indian paper industry is not just surviving but thriving with strength and unity. Let me begin by thanking my host association, PTA Mumbai President Shri Ashok Kabra ji, my seniors of our association who have always been the guiding force along with this young and energetic team for trusting me and nominating me to this post. I also thank our host association, NPMA Chennai, for organizing this event with such warmth and perfection. These large conferences are not easy to execute. It takes months of planning, passion, and patience. You have not only welcomed us to this beautiful city, but made every delegate feel at home. A special thank you to office bearers, volunteers, and support teams working quietly behind the scenes. Your efforts are noticed, valued, and applauded. Little highlight on the role of paper in human life. From books to bags, packaging to invitation, menus to art, paper is still everywhere, just in new forms. Like recently, Finland has adopted print media against electronic media for education. The demand for eco-friendly, sustainable, biodegradable paper is only going to rise. So the opportunity is not reducing, it is simply shifting. As traders, converters, suppliers, we must move with it. India's opportunity, can we lead? Yes, we can and we must.
I'm going to start in a different place. Which side should I click? I don't know. It's sure. Sorry, which direction should I click? Sometimes it depends on the. Oh, great. Oh, perfect. Okay, so a little wider than paper before we get to paper, and you will recognize this device. I'm sure many of you are of my vintage or even older in this hall, so you'll recognize this device. We don't see this anymore. There's another device which some of you in your younger days may have used, and this you don't see anymore as well. It was called a Walkman. It has been replaced by a universal phone. For those of you who enjoyed photography will still miss the 35mm film. And I'm going to put some of the papers there. I know many of you will not be happy with this slide, but some of you will recognize some of these grades, which may or may not be there, right? We used to sell a lot of kite paper at one point. It was really a fine paper to produce because it had to have no pinholes, it had to have multiple colors, it was very thin, 26 GSM if I remember. And and then bituminization was another aspect of paper that used to be there. Fax papers, fax machines are gone. So of course there is some heat sensitive paper still there. BD used to be a big market. It has shrunk a significant amount, and I'm sure in the next 30, 40, 50 years we may not have that. I know you might disagree with newsprint, and that's why I didn't put any Indian newspapers there. But globally, there is a shrinkage. You don't see. If I look at Europe or US, there's hardly anybody reading newspapers. So what I wanted to talk to you about was that ultimately, what is this idea of paper? So in my thinking and in my few years of being in business, I've realized actually paper is just one of three things. So this is hygiene, right? A lot of you, I know, our friend Saifee Jani ji is heavily in this area, but you can bunch up all sorts of hygiene products, and it could be tissues, napkins, diapers, wet wipes, whatever else goes into hygiene. So that's one segment we talk about. The second is a lot of you are involved in. It's fundamentally communication. So if you look at a writing printing paper, anything you print on, any coated papers, any of that is actually meant for communication. So that's what we are trying to do. And the third is the packaging domain. So these are the three blocks in which paper is used. So what we've been trying to understand is that actually it is the industry you must understand rather than thinking of just paper. Think of the trends that are going to happen in this industry. And each of these industries are going through their own trend. Of course, communication, we all know, has been disrupted heavily, will continue to be disrupted as much as we try. It is a matter again of 30 to 50 years max. And people like my child doesn't really even know how to write well on paper anymore, and she's always typing. So that's a change that we all see. Again, in terms of packaging, we are seeing so much, of course, in India with the quick commerce, e-commerce, there's a lot of boom. And there is obviously a shift with circularity and sustainability where my heart and passion lies. So, of course, a lot of you may know us as Yesh Papers, and that's the name that was used before. But we got rechristened or renamed as Pakka, and that's what we are called. Pakka basically stands for packaging with a soul. And the idea, a lot of kgs of material that is going to harm. This is a beach before the morning cleaners come in and remove the garbage, and the sea spits it out again, and we again put it somewhere where where it goes back into the ocean. This is inside the ocean. Some of my family, my daughters and I dive a lot, and this is pretty visible. There is microparticles all over. There is not a place on earth where you cannot find microparticles. This is the state we do to the birds, and this is an actual picture. This is a bird that has eaten things which it doesn't know it should not be eating. And we felt that it is upon us to make this change, because if you look at the public waste generation, packaging is almost double of everything else combined. So this is how much impact our business has on this planet. And it is on us to make a change. We cannot expect somebody else to do it. And within that, it's very interesting. This is a complex chart, forget about the chart. But what it tries to show is that single-use plastics, and this is a big hall, so I won't ask you questions, but if you think about single-use, it's typically 12 to 15 minutes of usage. The 12 to 15 minutes of usage of a styrofoam tray or a paper, a cup with a pea lining, or a plastic bottle or a potato chip bag, will result in it staying for at least, they say, 500 years. Nobody knows. The first bit of plastic was created maybe about 80 years back. So the first one still has 420 years to go. And imagine the quantum being produced every day. And of course, I won't push this too much because I know a lot of our friends here are from the recycling business. But as far as I'm concerned, I find recycling to be actually even worse than virgin materials many times, because many times we are transporting, even in case of paper, transporting waste paper all the way from America, bringing it to Nhava Sheva, transporting it all the way to Uttarakhand sometimes, making paper there, recovering maybe 50% of it, creating a lot of garbage in that, and maybe shipping it all the way back to America as well. So imagine the carbon impact as humans, not as paper industry people, that we create. So we are basically looking to change all of that, and that's the other reason we want to change it, because it's a $650 billion market. Just the food packaging market, which is the biggest impact again. So you have a huge opportunity to impact if we can innovate and create change. And this is what we as a team have a dream. And we work thereafter. I'm probably going to play a short video, if it works, about what we are trying to do.